right. Got our espresso ready?
I can always do the quick run.
Oh, for more?
It's not that far. Could be part of the interview.
All right, we are back. This is Creativity is the Cure. I'm your host, Malcolm Moore, and today I'm with my good friend, the most recorded drummer in history, John J.R. Robinson. How you doing, J.R.?
I'm doing good. I'm tracing down 60 cycle hums in my home.
But we have our Nespresso. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
I'm surprised that you don't have a Nespresso endorsement yet. But one of my favorite things you always say when I ask you a question is something like that. You say, not yet.
Yeah, it's, there's hope. That these next 10 years are going to be hitting it really hard. And, we did a couple of gigs and Nespresso sponsored us years ago. So I had one of those.
How come you didn't tell me this?
Oh, well, I had one of those old ones, those big squares.
Le Cube.
Yeah. And it's still sitting in the garage because I just didn't want to get rid of it, but it kind of ceased to function,
Wow.
And so I'm on their quarterly delivery service. And,
you got to get it through the mail.
Yeah. And then I weed through my old ones and I go, I don't like this. So I end up going back to the store and getting Starbucks marked up, which is just, ugh. But yes, I don't want to turn into an endorsement whore, even though I'm very proud of my companies.
Come on, lifetime supply of Nespresso. How could you say no to that?
It would be unbelievable. I used to bag on my father when I was little, and I'd see him drinking coffee that looked like tea. I go, why is it so thin, Dad? He goes, well, it's because I drink it all day. I go, okay, well, I stop around noon.
My mother used to make a cup of coffee, and then she would have a warmer, and she would leave it on there, and throughout the day keep drinking it.
Yeah.
If I get coffee, it's gone in 1 minute.
Yeah.
But she would just for 2 hours and just keep it hot.
I think that our parents' generation was, it's like Folgers in your cup.
Did you ever see the Saturday Night Live skit when they said we are secretly replacing all the blood with Folgers crystals?
No.
People were coming out of comas. I mean, it was great. They had the coffee coming down from the IB.
Well, now that with import tax tariffs, so we'll be drinking coffee that's maybe grown up here in Ohio.
Well, speaking of that thing I said before, I remember quite a while ago, maybe 20 years ago, I asked you. I said, "Have you ever played with Sting?" And you said, "Not yet." Tell everybody that finally happened, right?
It happened. The gentleman, our producer, Michael Marto, and he ran a production company out of Atlanta. We used to do all these beautiful, all of David Foster's first 3 specials were produced by him, and you can just see how magnificent it is. And he always loved me, so there's always a lot of Johnny Cam going on. But one of them we filmed in Orlando. And Sting was headlining, and we had Usher.
You had Adam Levine, too, right?
And we had Adam Levine.
Right.
And Adam, during rehearsal, we're just nailing his shit, because we have the A band. And he just looks at me and goes, JR, man, I've always been a fan of yours. And can you show me how you play the intro to Rock With You? I go, oh, yeah, okay. Have a seat, and his tattoos have their own zip code. And he's sitting on my drum throne trying to play the intro to Rock With You, and he totally can't play.
Yeah.
And after, we played, he goes, God, my band never sounded this good. I go, you got my number. So we ended up doing Sting. This has never been released. And I've got the...
you showed me part of the video, I remember once.
It's really good. And... Sting was a hard ass. I mean, he used to come watch me play with Streisand and always go, oh, and I'd recorded with him, doing stuff with Chris Bodie.
Oh, right.
And Sting would come see me with Streisand, and he'd after the show, and we'd be walking down the hall. He goes, JR, I'd give me a kiss. And he goes, you need to tell your engineer to turn the fucking drums up. I go, it's an orchestra. It's an orchestra, Sting.
It's not a bad compliment, though.
It was a good compliment. But we did this special, and he had me like the hour before showtime.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of chilling and away from people. And where's JR? And sent like the two fucking goons to get me, dragged me up to him and Trudy's room.
Wow.
And this event center. And he goes, listen, man, we're going to do this now. We're going to do that. And I go, well, he goes, how have you been studying? And I've been listening to Stewart. He goes, fuck Stewart Copeland. I go, I don't want you to play anything that Stewart Copeland played. Don't fucking play his shit. All right, that was it.
That was it.
That was it. And then we went and played.
And then it went pretty well.
It went well. I mean, I played my own thing. I didn't have a high enough snare drum, I don't think, on that show.
I remember you showed me a video. It's really cool. Why wouldn't something like that never be released?
I think it was through
There's too many rights for all the different
It was
artists.
rights. And, who knows? Maybe I can get clearance for it. And
it's great.
Use that. I mean, that's nice frosting in the career to be able to play with him.
No, and I think a lot of people that know your work don't know that you played with him, and it just shows your versatility.
When they first came out, I remember the guys in Rufus were in a car together, and I go, "This is the direction we need to go." and a couple of them are like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
Anyway,
let me just tell people who don't know who you are. JR truly is the most recorded drummer in history. You may know him from hits like We Are the World, Back in the High Life, Rock With You, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, All Night Long, Ain't Nobody. I mean, this is nothing. There's just, if you get his biography, we were just joking around that everything's not in there.
Yeah.
And when you
we
bring
didn't have
up,
room.
It's a whole separate book, like it's part 2. I think when I've talked to other drummers, they say to me, is he really the most recorded drummer? And I'm like, yeah, here's what you're not thinking about. You did all the albums, all the singles for everybody, but nobody thinks about how many soundtracks you have done. It's insane. Yeah,
and we had a good, and thanks to Neil Steubenhaus is one of the influencers that got me in the motion picture, television, and jingle.
Was that how you originally got into it?
Jingle world. I mean, he and I were friends all the way back to 73. But, people's paths cross and then they separate, then they cross again.
Yeah.
And so you'd be really good doing these films.
Yeah, because you're an incredible reader, which is rare these days.
And I learned that in church singing. So, in a beautiful Protestant church.
Same. I was raised the same way.
Yeah. And so, I learned. I wasn't a great reader in 7th grade in my jazz band. I was struggling about these figures because nobody teaches that stuff.
Right.
And, you feel it.
Right.
You heard it. I heard it.
Well, in a lot of jazz charts, they just show the head and then everybody solo play the head again.
And that's all I want to see. But, when you're just 13 years old, you don't really know. And then by the time I was 14, I knew.
Yeah. And tell everybody where you grew up.
I grew up in Creston, Iowa, which is Highway 34, 2 hours north of Kansas City, an hour southwest of Des Moines, and an hour and a half east of Omaha, in kind of okay farmland and drag race country. And
slightly different than Hollywood.
It is Hollywood, and even though I don't live anywhere near Hollywood, nor have I ever. I've been out here since 78, and I've always veered west of.
You've certainly worked in Hollywood, though.
I think the 101 highway is well over. I'm maybe a 2 million miler.
Yeah,
I should get some points from Asphalt Company.
And let's just reiterate, JR's drumming can be heard on over 100 Grammy-winning tracks and more than 200 Billboard Hot 100 songs. I mean, anywhere I go in public, I know if I wait about 20 minutes, if I'm in a mall or something, I'm going to hear you.
As long as it's not in an elevator, because then it's pitched up like an eighth of a tone. But yes, that's I've been very blessed. One interesting thing about that is
you've earned it, though. You paid your dues.
People think, God, he must be loaded. Well, in United States radio rights, we do not get royalties for radio play in the United States.
Really?
And but I get them all around the world. So we are working on that. We get SAG-AFTRA AFM checks, which are leading towards that. So, and unfortunately, by the time this passes, it will pass. It's not retroactive.
Well, let me ask you this, and don't take this the wrong way. So if somebody writes a song, like a Mick Jagger or Peter Gabriel, they're going to get their royalties. But the sidemen, the guys that play all the parts that make the song work, you're saying they're trying to get it so those people are paid?
Yeah.
Because you guys were paid like a flat rate. And
we were
that's
paid
right?
a union rate, whatever that is, or above scale. Or and in today's times, the musicians, I don't even know if they even use the union. It's all buyout. And so there is no back end. In my situation of all these songs, like All Night Long, or I'm so excited, or Stuck on You for toilet paper, I'll get new use. And that's great. But it's a drag because there was a point twice in my life with Quincy and all these hits that I was on 20% of the top 100.
Right. And you did help write a lot of those songs. You made those iconic parts.
But they're not going to give it to the drummer.
Right.
I mean, did Steve get 50 Ways royalties?
No.
I rest my case. I mean, me and the Daft Punk record, I played on 7 songs, and a couple of those songs, I would say the majority of those 7 were just me out there playing loops for them at different BPMs.
That was one of my questions. Now, I got to say, our 2 sons, Django and Caleb, are obsessed with Daft Punk. And they're very excited that I was talking to you. You've actually met our oldest son, Django.
Yep, say hello.
And what they wanted to know is, I know that you did make loops, but was there a time with all those great players on that album where you guys were in a room jamming, or was it always track by track?
It was a West Coast, East Coast. So the West Coast was Paul Jackson Jr. on guitar and Nathan East on bass.
Right.
And the keyboard player is from Rochester. He grew up with Steve. Chris Caswell. Chris was from up there also. I'm sure Steve knew him. And he was like a keyboard organizer guy.
Yeah. And
they entrusted in him here in the United States. And there were times, we started jamming at, let's say, 116 BPM in E minor.
So you guys were playing together in a room.
We were playing together, and then all of a sudden, an hour in, it was unbelievably controlled chaos in the control room at Conway C with Mick Guzauski. There were
Mick's from Rochester.
That's right.
Mick, yeah.
We were playing at 116 and something and trying different things, but there was no music involved. And all of a sudden, one of the guys comes out, and there was a bunch of minions. And meanwhile, before he came out, just the setup of everything running digitally through the console of analog, but all digital recordings also were duplicated with everything running analog.
Right.
For exactly why that record sounds so good.
Right.
It's pure.
Get the best of both worlds.
It's best of both. Nobody can afford to do it today. Anyway.
So when you went in, there was no demos, like, here's the song we're working on. Did they want you to jam and then chop that up and make songs out of it?
We did not know that. And I talk about this in interviews, and I think the book also about drummers when they get called in. Am I doing a sampling session? Am I there are actually our union rates for that. But if I'm doing some groove that then you are plugging it in to something that you've already written, isn't then my groove part of the writers?
Right. Like, especially drummers like you or Phil Collins, the fills that you do, even those are iconic and melodic, and the song doesn't work without them.
Right. We can lead into a whole bunch of different directions. I don't want to take you off your course, but I was just doing the Dead Wax video with these guys, and it was the AI, which I touch on in the book a little bit. Right. Can I be eliminated from AI? And the answer is no. Right. They just can't do it. Can a guitar player be eliminated via AI? And the answer is no. No, they're trying to do it with singers now, because somehow the algorithm senses the phrasing and can duplicate Paul McCartney's voice. Right. Well, I don't see how they can do that with us.
That's really important. I was just watching a Rick Beato video, also from Rochester.
We're working in getting in that door. Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Hi, Rick.
He was showing how on Spotify, 2 or 3 of the top songs were all made with AI. The video was fake, the sound was fake, and he was just, throwing his hands up in the air. I mean, that's the way it is. But you're right. There's nothing that will replace, human interaction. And that's why I was asking, were you guys playing in the same room? Because, Steve Gadd he's got his Steve Gadd band. They get in a room, they hit record, and then they hit stop. That's how they record a song.
Wait a minute. What do they do? There's actually human beings in a room, and they hit a record button, and it simultaneously grabs everybody's information together.
Yeah, there's this weird thing they do. They look at each other in the eye.
What?
Their phone is not in their hand.
Oh, my God. I'm just, I'm sure that there'll be some new thing for Apple 17 Plus that'll do that. And the kids will go, we can do this.
I was a music teacher for 12 years, and thankfully, a lot of the younger kids are into just live music. It was hard for a while as a private drum teacher to go to a house, and I remember they all wanted to learn how to play Pray by The Weeknd and Kendrick Lamar. Really cool beat, really cool rhythm, but not real drums. So I would have to start to figure out, okay, how we're going to play this. But the kids now are getting into real playing, and God forbid they make a mistake. Oh, do it twice. It's a riff.
Listen, Jack, who lives here full time, he's 24.
Yeah.
Great drummer and pretty good keyboard player. He's been a collector of keyboards and basses, which is stop. But he was up there last night. He's all frustrated and doing things. And I go, here, you can just figure out how to grab your stuff and you can move it, or you can just save it, duplicate it, and do another take. And wow. So, and he's into all this original music like I was. So it's paid off, I think. Some of our generation this new generation hasn't been lost yet.
Yeah, and what you were showing him is almost what I think George Martin was the first person to do, is use the studio as a composing tool.
Yeah.
And it certainly helps if you're like you and you can actually play. I love your solo work, and my favorite song is still Flight 81. If you check out any of JR's stuff, start with this, because even the melody is so good I can't get it out of my head.
It's a fun tune. Yeah.
Really fun tune. My question, though, is how do you compose? I know you're a keyboard player. Is that where you start?
I start with keyboards and/or guitars and/or some.
You play a little guitar, too?
I do.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, that's a stupid story. When the Beatles first were shown on Ed Sullivan, I watched my older sister googly-eyed at these fuckers, and I'm going, I'm a drummer still. I mean, I was a drummer in '63.
Yeah,
and I mean, young.
Yeah,
and I go, I can do that. I can play guitar. So the next day, I started learning how to play guitar. So
I did not know that about you.
Just to mess with my sister.
Wow.
But and I choose not to work on it harder, because I know if I really do, Dean Parks is going to be on speed dial for me, and I don't want to, Anyway, so yeah, I compose with keyboards. It was always my first instrument.
Right.
Was piano, and
so you wake up for an idea with a song. What do you have first? The melody,
or even in the middle of the night, sometimes I'll have a lyric.
Yeah.
So I'll jot. And I learned this from Quincy, actually. I mean, it's nothing that nobody shouldn't not know.
Right.
Is that always have a pad and a pencil underneath your bed.
Yeah.
And if you
or a voice memo on your phone.
Yeah, and I'm always doing that. If I know that the idea will not go away, thank God, at this stage of my life's brain, but I'll then reapproach it in some capacity. I mean, I've got songs in here that I've written that they're me singing.
Yeah.
I've got a song about a Carolina Reaper, which is one of the world's hottest peppers, but it's really about some hot chick from Carolina. But
that's a great title.
But and it's copywritten, of course. Yes, it is. And it probably needs to be with some southern rock country band.
Yeah. So you have a lot of choices. You could sing the melody. You could put a drum groove down. You could play guitar, piano. Do you ever take an instrument or a machine that you're not as comfortable with to take you in a different direction?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And, I've been very blessed to learn technology even as a little boy.
Yeah.
And depending on what level of technology.
You've always been great at that.
Even from a Porta Studio in 1980. And now running the ultimate level of Pro Tools.
Right.
I had to take out a business loan to buy that damn new cheese grater. with the M2 chips, but it runs everything. I mean, like for example, one of my companies, DWE, makes these electronic drums, which I can, if I say, okay, instead of me looking for a loop, if I'm gonna try to write, I don't necessarily start with the loop. I start with the idea, and then I'll go and put some sort of rhythm under it, usually maybe from Shaker, programmed.
To get the feel of the groove.
And then, because I always know I can go play drums on this.
Right.
No matter if I'm going to using this Slingerland set, which is a different sound, or this DW, this is not Sycamore, Spruce.
Right.
This is one of like 2-3 sets ever made. But nobody has that. I went back to Iowa when my mother was still alive, years and years ago. She died in '89, so it was like '87. And I went back there and I had a couple of joints, and it's summer in Southwest Iowa. It's humid like a mofo, and we have a crick.
Yeah,
we used to say down right by there, and I smoked a joint, and all of a sudden I'm hearing every frequency from every insect known to man.
Right,
and
like the siren
like
you're hearing right now.
And they're on 6 legs, those guys. But I immediately got score paper, and I wrote out a mini symphony of this is perfect, of this insect symphony, starting with this low thing that was like, and everything was polyrhythmic.
Wait, how old were you?
It was probably 1987.
Okay.
So I don't know how many years ago that was, but I was 30.
Okay.
And I wrote all this out, and I wished I still had it, because you couldn't ever duplicate it, but you could do it with symphony.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess that was pot induced. So I don't do that anymore, of course.
Technology related. One part in your book I love is, and I didn't know this is how you guys did it, the Michael Jackson song, The Way You Make Me Feel.
Yeah.
You had the SP12. What did you program the drums on?
SP12.
Yeah.
Emulator.
And then what was the other?
Which are really expensive in resale world now.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that was state of the art at that time.
It was.
And so, do I understand correctly? You recorded the groove at home, and then you took the files to the studio. And what kind of files did they use back then for that? How did you bring that to the studio?
I brought it on 24 track tape.
Okay.
Because I had an Otari 24 track machine. It was an MX80. It was a cheaper one.
This is in your house.
Well, this is the old Agora. I had quite a large house then, and before the shit hit the fan, but. That douche, that was all done with the SP12.
Wow. And that you laid real drums on top of that, but did you do that in the studio or at home?
We did at studio.
Yeah.
I had a Yamaha recording custom, was that white set, and brought it all in with all this crap that, and triggers, and Quincy wanted to get modern,
But it's still timeless. It's such a great groove.
And it's a hard groove to play. And so I layered the groove with just a shuffle drum pattern. But that actually worked really well. In my new trio, the JR band, it's more than a trio, but it is trio at this time.
Yeah.
We're doing a version of The Way You Make Me Feel into Killer Joe.
Oh, wow.
Because I give homage to Quincy,
That's such a great track.
And it's fun. I mean, you can't play it with, 100 pieces of music on tracks, but, do the best you can as a trio.
Well, I'm in a band now where we do a lot of Allman Brothers, and when the guys give me a song, I go, guys, there are 2 drummers and a percussionist. Right. I got to pick the most important parts, and that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And you have to do the same thing with that song, right? There's so much going on.
Well, and Mitch, we don't have a bass player, so he's 2 people.
Organ trio.
Yeah,
those are cool. They're really coming back. Those are really hip.
Yeah, we're purists in our younger days.
And wait, when you get together, you're in the same room.
We are in the same room, except if Mitch comes here, he's in the garage, because that's where we have the C3.
I would like to go way back in time.
Yes.
When is your first creative memory? Now, we all know you're a phenomenal drummer, but this could be anything. When is the first time in Iowa, very small JR, before he was called JR, when is the first time that you thought of something in your head, executed it, brought it to the physical realm, and thought to yourself, where did that come from? Oh, I did that.
Well, I think we can even go before that.
Uh-oh.
I started Embryo Records. No, I tell this story in the book because I think it's really, really important in who I have become. When I was 3, maybe 2.5 to 3, I had a single bed with blonde. I remember it was blonde, a blonde bed, whatever that finish is, with these sliding drawers behind my head. And,
cool.
and at night, Dad or Mom, go to sleep, go to bed. Okay, okay. And my dad was a bit strict and without hitting, and so I'd lay down, and your brain. I don't know if you remember back that when you were young, but my brain would, my wheels were rocking, and
right.
and trying to dial yourself down to that level of
go to bed immediately. It's not going to happen.
I couldn't do it, and so my heart started racing. I did not know what that was.
Interesting,
but it made the drawers vibrate.
Yeah,
and my drawers were vibrating in this rhythm. And I'd call my dad, and I don't know what this noise is. And of course, when he come in, you think, it's too loud. You can't tell what the noise is.
Right.
And then he'd go away, and I'll say,
there it is again.
Fuck. So finally, I just embraced it, and realized that and I think I realized it was my heartbeat triggering from my chest the drawers moving. So.
It's like that drum seat that you sit on now that tells you the tempo. This is way ahead of it.
I don't. Thank God I don't need that. but I have needed it, but I don't need that. Yeah. But so I think that kind of helped. Whatever that heartbeat is when you're going to sleep, it's at 96 or whatever the hell it is, and that was crucial with kind of embedding me as a drummer or having rhythm. It's
like an awakening or an awareness.
It was. So I just would put that, and then finally when I would drift off, then I could fly. So all that shit was out the window. But maybe I got into playing. I'm trying to think. I was trying to be a normal boy, which I try to tell these parents.
That didn't work out so
well. No. Well, no. Are you a cowboy or an Indian? And then the stepfather comes home with M80s. Sure, here's 12. Okay, this is cool, man.
Sounds like you had a creative awareness that was inherent to you. You were aware of that, and you need that in music to be like a great actor.
My mother, again, and I talk about it in the book, but she would sit me down and play me old big band records.
Yeah.
And teach me what the word swing meant.
Yeah.
We didn't know. What was that?
Right.
Man, this thing swings.
Yeah.
And that's been an old term for 90, 80 years, I think. So I kind of learned what that was. So again, you have to give props to your parents for educating you in a capacity that they love.
Right.
And I think that could be possibly part of today's societies and why the world is so messed up, is that the parents have not relayed their passions to the kids because of whatever reason.
Maybe they're too busy in there.
Too busy, or they're drugged out.
They're in their own little bubble.
And they're struggling.
Yeah.
But in reality, if you relay something that's important to you and then you pass that on to the next generation, they're going to remember that and then do their own interpretation of that to the next generation.
Yeah. Well, this leads right into our next question. Were your parents creative when you were growing up? Do you think their creative identity was passed on to you at all genetically? Do you ever find yourself going, oh, I did this, that comes from my dad, or that comes from my mom?
I'm not sure if it came from either side. I mean, my dad was a doctor, an optometrist, and wrote many articles. But in high school, he was he was the concertmaster violinist.
Wow!
And played piano and sang. And then later when I came on Earth, he was like the head of the Creston Chorus. He did all these choral arrangements. He had a barbershop winning quartet.
Wow!
That
is really cool. Not easy harmonies to do. He
stopped playing violin, even though I have his violins. One of them's trashed, and I don't dare even pull it out because drummers and violin players are. I don't think that works.
Except Devil went down to Georgia.
Okay, but that's different, you know. But
all right, so you got a lot from your dad.
I got a lot from my dad. I mean, he was very strict on me as a piano player when I was not smart enough to understand math at age 5, and I got a lot from my mother. My mother's father played. I'm talking about at the turn of the first 2 centuries ago, Gran Casa bass drum and in marching situations.
Like a John Philip Sousa type of thing.
I would assume so. And then my mother always had a fantasy of playing drums. So when I was a little teeny boy, when the parents had split, I mean, she'd be in a VFW bar sitting in on a drum set.
Really?
Yeah, but
I did not know that.
I didn't really hear anything special coming out of that other than there's some hot, blonde 5'10" lady sitting on a drum set.
She was an enthusiastic drummer.
Apparently so,
as they say.
Apparently so. So, I got a incredible amount of information from him. I remember, going through that time. I went to a lot of music camps,
right,
and all sorts of camps, and I even had a full ride at University of Kansas at Lawrence my sophomore summer.
Wow.
And would have been full college credit for 5 straight weeks to be a drummer and a percussionist.
Okay.
And I turned it down to go to Iowa State University to be a basketball player. And I made the all-star team. So, and I ended up getting my doctorate now from Iowa State. So I think I made the right decision there. But I remember my dad saying to me, well, you need to have something to fall back on. And I go, Dad, man, I mean, I committed to be a drummer in 1965. That was, I go, this is what I'm going to do.
It's worked out pretty well.
Well, but so did a lot of other people commit in 67 or 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And they didn't stick with it. So I committed because he wanted me to take over his optometric practice. And that means I would have stayed in Creston and played JUCO basketball and probably, wrecked my back like my best friend Jeff did. And I would have never gotten out. I would have never gone to Boston and seen how weird it is in Boston. However, it was great and all those things. So, you have your own internal direction, and we want these kids to recognize that.
Sounds like you had a great environment. And even though you say your dad is strict, it sounds like he was a great combination of artistic but also practical.
Totally.
And I'm curious, if he was that musical, did he ever improvise or was always reading notation?
No, I think he chose to play by ear a lot of times.
Oh, that's cool.
And play different things. And I mean, I'd see him on occasion pull out the violin and play some. What the hell are you playing? I was some classical crap, and I said okay, but I would see him on the piano like trying to play like Bill Evans.
Yeah.
And then, when he passed, at the end there, and for his funeral, I had full Bill Evans playlists and
oh, that's cool.
And some Kenton shit. And it was like really, really cool stuff that he would have done.
So did he live to see you perform with Barbra Streisand? Because that was you with an orchestra.
Yeah, he did.
He must have been thrilled about that.
He died in 1999. So I first started playing with Barbra, in the studios around in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And then 93, we started with that full orchestra and went and opened up New Year's Eve, 94.
And did he get to see any of the live shows?
I don't know if he got to see Streisand, but he got to see the big David Foster, Andre Agassi stuff.
Oh, cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, because he was there and Cindy Crawford. And I go, Cindy, can I get she knew who I was. Can I get a picture? So I got a picture with Cindy Crawford that totally fucked with the Zildjian people. So I put it in their Zildjian magazine. They go, what happened to Debbie? Anyway, so he got to see a lot of that. He got to see, We Are the World and
oh, that's great.
And
that must have been
as my mother
wonderful for your parents to see that.
It was good. I was coming up with a solo record, Bridge Too Far, and right when my mother was dying, and I would she was laying in the bed and I would play her the DAT. Of our rough mixes. And, she's, very different stuff.
Yeah. She understood, though, because she was a drummer.
I think so.
Do you think creativity could be implemented in curing people or at least helping people with things like anxiety and depression?
Definitely. Anxiety is a little tougher to me to diagnose. Depression, well, it could be equally as hard to diagnose. The thing about people that I've noticed that are depressants are, you got 7 days in a week, and you don't know who that person's going to be each day.
Yeah.
If we were to take this and say something about Parkinson's, where actual physical rhythms would totally helps with the synapses of the brain.
Right.
We're not sure if that would cure depression or anxiety. Anxiety, I'm still confused of really what that is. I mean, I'm being locked in a metal tube at 35,000 feet, and you get anxiety maybe. But
well, look at it a different way. I heard on a podcast you did some type of work with Robin Williams, right? You did a performance. Before I get to the question, tell everybody what that was.
We helped build Andre Agassi's schools in Las Vegas.
Right.
And I was a kind of an ambassador, and I'd go over and lecture and help the kids out, and they were basically inner city kids. But he built this amazing school system. So every year with David Foster, we'd have the all-star band, and we'd play with everybody.
Right.
And Robin was generally our closer before Elton would come on.
Okay.
And it happened every year, and so I got to work with Robin. I also did comic relief. A few of those.
Oh, you did some of those with Whoopi Goldberg and Billy Crystal?
And all we would do is we'd be there all day, and we'd leave Robin. We had them control Robin's feed to the band. We'd shut off the other two and just listen to Robin all day, because he was from another planet.
Yeah, and I bring him up, though. He's been a major inspiration to me, but as people know now, he was severely depressed.
Yeah.
So I bring him up asking you, from this point of view, creativity, have you seen it with yourself or friends of yours in the industry that being creative was helping them at least escape from whatever they're struggling
Totally with Robin. We would be in a rehearsal, and I can remember the exact moment. We go into the men's room to relieve ourselves, and I was playing with Tears for Fears.
Yes.
And
I didn't know you played with them.
Well, live.
Yeah.
And Roland was just an asshole. and because everybody wants to rule the world starts with that 1980s reverb machine.
Okay.
But everything's kind of reverb. Everything sucks it back.
Oh, the gated reverb. Though.
Yeah. And he'd look around and he goes, "Jack, I want you to play that." I go, "It's a fucking machine." Anyway, so we got a break, and I'm kind of like upset because, and plus that's a hard ass groove to play that Lynn drum machine. Play all three of those parts in a row for 5 minutes is really hard. So I tried to be verbatim. In reality, I should have just played a shuffle. But so I go into the bathroom, and all of a sudden Robin comes in and stands right next to me. We're relieving ourselves, and I look over at him, and I didn't look down, of course. Right. And I look over and I said, "Fucking Tears for Fears, man. They fucking ruined the 80s." And he just looks at me. I mean, you could see he was into this other person.
Yeah.
State. And he goes, "Do you really think so?" And then went back to finishing his leak and left.
Wow.
And I felt like, I felt 1 foot tall after he did that to me. And I was just, thinking maybe he was correlating my vibe.
Yeah.
And he was not.
Yeah.
He was in a whole nother space.
Yeah.
So the answer is, I think anything can help. And I know that you've worked with younger people and disabled, right?
Yeah. A lot of special needs kids.
I worked with some, I guess we would call them special needs. In the old days, there was something else. And as long as you can get them to enjoy something that's like a shiny, sparkly, or a blown up balloon that they can identify with.
You must know this because you're a drum teacher, as I am. I've worked with a lot of special need kids. Let's say they have tics, like these involuntary, vocal or physical things. Or someone has a stutter. A lot of times when they play music, those go away and that gives them confidence. Have you ever noticed that?
I have.
Anybody?
So what does that say? Is that something with the synapses or some other part of the brain?
It's interesting, yeah, that you really wonder where those tics are coming from.
Well, in creative fluid that's being imported, it must be like a beta blocker or a blocker that blocks the signal that has now overtaken their growth as a child.
Yeah.
So whatever these tics are, it's almost like, I mean, how do people, I don't know if this is correlated or not, when you get a ringing in your ear,
right,
which is tinnitus, there are probably multiple levels of tinnitus. How does it go away? We know how it could start, with a loud guitar part or go into a friggin'...
right. There's a trigger at some point. Right?
There's got to be a trigger. And for drummers that, lots of times in their left ear, if they're right-handed, the hi-hat will trigger it, or a bad guitar player, as I always say. and thank God I've never had that. But how does that go away?
Yeah.
So something is healing itself within your brain. If that can be healed, then this could be healed.
Yeah, and you must know this as well. I can sing and play drums, and it comes down to you're doing 5 things at once, and people don't think about it. And what I love to do is a kid that's struggling, whether they have one of these things we're talking about or they're having a bad day, or they're fighting with their parents, or not doing well in school, I get them playing the beat, and I go, okay, sing along with it, or count. And I go, oh, you feeling better? They forget all about it. There's that escape, right? And the last question I have to ask about this is you've worked with people like a Robin Williams or Michael Jackson that are extroverts when they're on stage, but almost the opposite when they're off.
Right.
So these people, you've probably seen them transform, right? Backstage, maybe they're not feeling sure of themselves, but they get on stage and different story, different person maybe.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And, I was even thinking of my ex-partner, Chaka. I don't think she ever transformed. She was always Chaka.
100% all day, every day.
All the time. I mean, I saw her like ran into a stage monitor because the stage was so dark right before we went on, and she literally rolled like friggin' Jerome Bettis and running back. And she rolled and got up, had her leg cut up. She goes, God damn it, fuck, shit. And I'm going, are you okay? And she's like gushing, yeah, man, let's go. Go, JR, go. And so she was the same, but...
what you see is what you get with her.
What you see is what you get. But, Michael, obviously through his growth pattern of weirdness and whatever happened, as maybe... I kind of relate that as maybe... I always said to people, when Joe told those boys to get in the limo from the Ed Sullivan Show days, he believed it.
Right.
And he got in the limo, and maybe he didn't experience life like the other brothers did. So when I first started working with him, and he was just 18, beautiful, beautiful young man.
Yeah, handsome guy.
Handsome and shy, and semi-afraid of girls. And he was very nice. And he'd, hi, JR. And he would be so soft-spoken. I mean, meanwhile, man, he'd be going, hey, man, motherfucking man. I don't know how he really did, and got into his Gary, Indiana shit. But, I knew his brothers fairly well. And I used to play basketball with Jackie, who was just a tyrant on the basketball court. Fist fighting and shit. I go, I'm not playing with you anymore. Anyway, and Jermaine was just adorable. Jermaine and I were the closest. But guys like Michael, I think, would reinvent himself to turn into this untouchable entity.
Maybe a comfort zone where he felt safer.
I'm sure. I mean, even all the way to the end.
Protective.
I heard the rehearsals were hell.
Yeah.
Like just because there was so much money on the line, and then unfortunately he went away. But we don't know how many people or regular people that are 9-to-5ers or struggling to work with, our insane home prices and
everything right now.
Well, I mean, if there's an adjustment, it has to be global.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen. But everybody probably, you know, let's just, there was a simpler time from 1955 to 1965.
Yeah.
Where life was different. However, you know, women were, you know, denigrated to living, you know, being the June Cleavers, and the men worked, and you know, was it sexist? Yes. Was it good? No. But was the lifestyle better? And absolutely, it was better.
Well, maybe more predictable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of things opened up, and you know, whatever has caused. I mean, did you think about dyeing your hair pink in high school, or weird shit like that?
I did when I got to my 20s, but I'm 55, so it's a little bit different.
Right. Okay. Right. And did you think about getting tattoos?
Not till the 90s, probably.
Okay. And I was always just against anything that seemed abnormal.
Yeah.
To me, from how I was raised. So I think then again, everything goes back to parental raising your children, paying attention to them, you know, reading to them, letting them hear the phrases that are coming out of your mouth. Try not to swear in front of the kids.
Right.
My oldest son, John, who's 43 now, that's him playing the upright bass over there. He would never swear.
Yeah.
And then, but Christopher came along and swore like a friggin' sailor. So he got a lot of his mother in him, and I kind of picked up on that individually. But he'd always, tell on his brother.
Yeah.
And now Jack, he doesn't swear either, which is good. So, you know, I'm batting 6'7" here.
Yeah. So a good friend of mine, Dony Wynn. Yes. If you don't know who he was Robert Palmer's drummer for 25 years.
Oh my God.
And I've been helping him put a book together about all his adventures, and he thinks very highly of you.
I think very highly of him.
So I told him I was coming over to talk to you, and he told me that, you know, after Robert Palmer unexpectedly passed away very young, he went on to work with some other artists, and one of them was Steve Winwood.
Oh boy.
And so Donnie's a great drummer. You know, he's played with all kinds of people, and he learns things quickly. And so it was all time to do the show, and he waited till a couple days before the show to look at the charts.
Uh-oh.
Of course, it was all the stuff that you did with him. And then he said, tell JR that he done fucked me up. You know, Dony is a wonderful Southern gentleman. And yeah, he said he got it. And if you know Donnie's work, when he would play with Robert, they would do songs like Some Like It Hot, which we know was Tony Thompson.
Yep.
And if you listen to the recording, you listen to the recording, Dony killed it. So for him to say that about what you did with Steve Winwood.
Well, but he can blame me a little bit, but Steve was unorthodox in his songs.
Yeah.
All of a sudden there'd be 4 bars of why is it even in there? And then maybe a 2/4 bar. And like, what does he think he is, Burt Bacharach? You know, so those charts, when they...
Oh, so when you were in there, it was written out?
No.
Okay.
No, I was in New York, and it's in the book.
Yeah.
You know, we're unique in New York with Russ Tattleman and Tom Lord Alge and Steve. And I'm just hearing it, and I can't remember if I wrote a chart out or not.
Yeah.
Honest to God, because I was so overwhelmed by sitting in that captain's chair and listening to a broken down version of Higher Love.
Yeah.
With no Nile Rodgers, no Chaka Khan, no other Steve Winwood parts. It's just some synth.
Yeah.
And a Jimmy Braylauer mid-tempo kind of perk groove.
Yeah.
And you know, Steve synth bass.
Yeah.
And I go, can I play on that? And they go, why do you think you're here? So I was just overwhelmed with that. And I've always been very good at memorizing music when I first hear it.
Right, right.
Or I compartmentalize it and knowing that, okay, I've left myself in my head. There's a space here coming in and out of the second chorus or going into this or that it's a space. And I don't remember what was on the demo. All I know is that there's a space, and we'll figure out if that's 4 beats or that. So by me screwing up Dony,
yeah,
I'll take partial blame.
I think that's a good answer. And one more thing about him. when I think about him and you, I've been working with him a lot, so I've been listening to things he did with Robert, like Looking for Clues, which I always thought growing up was all programmed. But you guys back then, people like Earth, Wind, and Fire, I try to tell my students, no, there was no beat detective. There was no auto-tune. These guys could really play.
Yeah.
So I think about you and Dony and Stuart Copeland. You guys were the first drummers I heard that would record track by track like you did Ain't Nobody. And you were putting like hi-hat, bass drum. What was the first time you did that? And was it challenging to make it? Because it sounds like someone sitting down at a kit.
Well, you have to think about, and you know, your audience may not realize why we did that.
Right.
And, you know, I talk about that also.
Right.
But that kind of came in with Bruce Swedeen's idea of getting the hi-hat out of the snare drum mic.
Right.
So I'd come in.
So you wanted separation in the studio.
He wanted separation, and all drummers, most drummers, will design the groove to play it live.
Right.
Whatever it is. And
Which makes sense.
And now today's TikTok drummer, it's like there's 7 drummers in one. And it's like a, you know, multi-certs tab.
Yeah.
And I'm just not at all impressed with this shit. So it's
lots of chops doesn't make a good song necessarily.
Well, like I said, and I'm going to say it on your podcast too, is that I have come up with an idea for the Olympics, and it's called the Olympian Drummer Competition. And only certain of these cats are going to make it. Yeah. And I will definitely be on the board. And they will be these, you know, that Eastern European dude with the long hair and the beard that can play all this shit. Yeah. And I'm going, you're definitely going to be in the competition. And
he's drinking a cup of coffee while he's playing with his left hand.
Yeah. And maybe he can make us a cup of coffee while he's doing that. And we might need a round 2 here coming up, but I'll finish this thing. So by us piecing it together, made you really think about the pattern that was working with the song.
Yeah.
And Ain't Nobody was
playing for the song.
Always playing for the Ain't Nobody was incredibly difficult. However, we were doing stuff with Bruce Swedeen before that, and then Bobby Watson, the great bass player from Rufus, produced Renee and Angela, which was kind of an R&B duo.
Okay.
And we started doing loops back in 80 and maybe even before that.
Wow.
With 4 Atlas mic stands.
Interesting.
Like maybe 8 feet apart.
Yeah.
And running that through a 2-track. And I would play, it would be all the sends going into the board, going and send it out to stereo 2-track. And the tape would be rolling around these mic stands and then going through the heads. So I would have
truly a loop,
and I would have the click and or no click, and play straight. Yeah. And they go, no, we want you to. I go, how about just 2 bars? But you pick the best 2 bars. No, we want you to play 8 bars, and we'll pick the best 8 bars. So that's how we started doing that. So. You know, that led into piecing things together. Now, you know, Jerry Murata, who's a friend of yours, I remember talking to him in the old days about, I know it was with
Peter Gabriel when they got rid of the cymbals.
He didn't want any hi-hats and embraced it.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that. I did that on the Joe Walsh tune.
Wow.
And I've got bruises on my right leg to prove it because I wrapped a friggin' towel around my leg and I
know what you're going to say.
I had to keep the time going. And if you really listen, if you're an audiophile, you can hear that, which is me hitting my leg.
Yeah.
And
all drummers are used to do a fill and then hit a cymbal, but you couldn't do that.
No, I didn't hit it. No. And there's nothing else going but left hand and right foot.
Yeah.
And maybe I would cheat and add 4 chicks, but I wasn't doing that.
Wow.
And it's quite good, actually. There's no hi-hat.
Well, now I want to get deep into your book, King of the Groove. I love this book. I knew that I would like it, and my favorite type of books are biographies. If you ever come to my house, it's an insane amount of biographies everywhere. Even if there's a musician or actor I'm not a big fan of, I'll still read because I love to hear the story of their life.
Right.
Yours really caught me off guard because not only did it have all the information I wanted to know, and I know your stuff pretty well. I learned a lot, but it was so inspiring and positive that really caught me off guard. And I know you well, and you're a nice guy. You're a funny guy. But I wanted to ask you, this is a weird question. Did something happen? Because it seems like a radical breakthrough, like that you were reaching out your hands to the world and offering, everything is difficult, but there's a way through all these challenges. It really touched my heart in that way.
Thanks. Thank you very much. And I mean, I didn't set out to say, well, this has to be positive, but I did, when I first started this process with Allison, the producer, I had nothing but
the woman that produced your book.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the north of the border woman, I call her, and which is still America, by the way. It's north.
I don't have time enough to go down that road.
Well, it's like a lot of people think Canada is not America. I go, okay, well, anyway. So I had Post-its like this room we're in now, but it's the other room. There was Post-its everywhere, all over the wall. You
were storyboarding.
Yeah, and I'd never written. I think I've maybe never had those classes in high school.
Yeah,
and I was too busy doing math and sciences, and that sort of and music. And even though I think I got A's in humanities, whatever the fuck humanities is, and
it's fun, but who knows what?
Well, it didn't keep me out of 2 divorces. So
I think that's a different class. But go on.
It is a different class. But I did eliminate through all this data. I mean, I put good vibes up on the ball and bad vibes.
Oh, you wrote that?
I just wrote ideas, and because they come into you, and you need to output them. But I did come to the conclusion that you cannot do a book of dirt.
Right.
You cannot do a book of dirt. And plus, no offense.
You can, but you shouldn't.
No offense to my friend Dave Grohl, but I didn't like. He's had a couple of books, and the one book I didn't like at all.
Yeah,
it didn't have any cohesiveness to it or continuity, and it didn't have any meaning.
So you wanted to flow,
and I wanted to express who I am to people because I'm from a small town.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters where you're from. It matters who you've become.
Yeah,
and I'm not done. I got a lot of shit going on here that's after getting my doctorate from Iowa State University, and now I'm up for 2 major motion pictures, being the head of music.
Oh yeah, you're the last guy that I think would be done.
And it looks really, really promising. But now we're dealing with studios and Hollywood bullshit, and it's like, golly, I'm just trying to compose, and it would be really cool to be able to write some orchestral stuff and them allow me to stand in front and conduct them.
Yeah.
Even though
I can see you doing that.
It would be, but I could see, the violin girls going, hee, hee. Does he really know a downbeat, or is the downbeat up here? I go, well, fuck you. The downbeat's down here, like Quincy told me. So anyway, I don't know if I answered that, but
no, I think you did, and it's really inspiring me. I didn't expect that, and that doesn't mean I don't think you're a positive guy, but it was so overwhelming of a theme going through it. I didn't want to put it down. That's not what I expected to. I thought it was just going to be like, oh, what happened with Michael Jackson?
No,
but this stuff, you seem to also be not that you're done, but handing the baton to the next generation.
Yeah,
and you're also telling them that you don't have to be scared of AI because I survived the drum machine era.
Right.
There's always going to be technology. And you pointed out like the Mellotron. Oh no, they're sampling strings.
Shit, we did it real quickly. I did a bunch of Manhattan Transfer records, and they were always very dear to me and very close. And
great band.
I come in, and it was Miroslav on upright, and I'm going, oh my God, this is going to be some real shit.
Yeah.
And maybe, we'll get a melody with it and we'll go live. And I don't know who's playing piano. Well, it wasn't. There was an emulator 2 sitting in the room with some tech head going, I go, what's that there? He goes, all right, JR, we're going to take your beautiful Yamaha drums at the time, and we're going to sample everything into here. And it's only 8-bit.
Yeah.
And we're going to trigger it via a keyboard player. I can't remember what record that is, but it was a good record.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, you're going to do the same thing to Miroslav? They go, yeah.
I didn't know they did that with that band. I know that band's music pretty well. Well, but that doesn't surprise me given the time.
Yeah, they were trying to be innovative, and they were.
One of my favorite parts of the book is on page 220. If you desire, do great things in your life. You will have to become accustomed to feeling uncomfortable. The trick always is to manage those feelings and focus the energy into positivity. We must be microscopically homed in on our target, yet flexible enough to push our creativity into new areas of existence. I mean, that's your life, but that is such an inspiring quote. I kept reading it over and over.
Thank you.
Because a lot of people, all of us, are going through really difficult stuff, and to put out something hopeful is so imperative right now.
Thank you.
I mean, that's just a little bit. And I also like this book because I can open up one page if I don't have a lot of time. And not only grab something, but that quote is such a dense quote, I kind of have to put down the book and think about it.
Plus, if you were to read the Bible, even the newest version, I still can't understand the language.
So you're saying there's going to be a King James version of your... When does that come out?
Wouldn't that be funny? Except thouest and thouest and lowest, and I don't know what these words mean, but it was a way to grasp, and I give Allison a lot of props here because she has a mastering of the English language, and I learned a whole bunch about correct phrasing, correct definitions, and how to use things properly, and maybe to eliminate, like Ed Sof did with me with my right foot technique.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
Eliminate bad habits when it comes to the English language. And then what that did is kind of like what we talked about earlier, is it opens up a lane in your thought process to not expose, but to power information out that's in your head anyway.
Yeah.
And then you learn how to control it. I mean, it's not like I'm preaching to people.
Yeah.
But
No, it doesn't sound like that. It's very sincere.
Yeah, but it's information that I have learned through a thought, you said I came out with open arms. Well, we could look at tragedy. Right. With loss of my parents and my sister, in 2007 when I'm on stage at Hitler's fucking stadium in Germany with Streisand.
Yeah.
And it was just a beautiful...
Knowing what took place there.
Yeah, and knowing she was dying, and that was my last connection to the Robinsons. Yeah. And then the management all came out, and they just nodded down, and I go, fuck. And I knew it, and then I left the band for a week. And then Barbra, the great person she is, canceled the Stockholm show so I could bury my sister.
Wow.
And said she had a scratchy throat.
Wow.
She still got paid. The band got paid. I got paid. They flew me to San Antonio, took care of my sister, and I came back out. I go, how's your throat? Oh, I'm fine. And so then we went into Manchester and did that show. And she was just, only probably 4 artists could do that. Clapton and her and Paul and, maybe the Stones. And it was...
what a kind-hearted and compassionate move.
However, I felt so alienated when I got back on the band. I was like, why am I even here? It's like my brain was already somewhere else. But that's why, I wrote this book. It's not only little stories about me running away when I was grounded, right? And not getting caught. Yeah. But just things that I remember that I think help people.
Yeah.
And
that's important.
Yeah, I agree.
So Dony Wynn is writing this book about all his adventures with Robert Palmer. Now, Robert died, very young at 54, and so there's no one to tell the story. So it's really important that we get this out, and he's asked me to help him edit. Now, here's the tricky thing. He, like I said, he's a Southern gentleman. He's from New Orleans, so he's got a lot of wild colloquialisms, which I love, to the point where he almost writes like E. E. Cummings. I mean, it's out there.
Yeah, you need to keep that. Yes.
Yeah, but my uncle, who is a poet, told me when I was younger, he wants to write his poem so everybody that reads it it comes out the same and they hear him the right way. So trying to get Dony to go from the way he talks to somebody anywhere in the world can read this and hear where he's coming from. And so we've had to think about, okay, grammar, language, how can it still sound like him, but be applicable to everyone? How about you and your voice with Allison? How did she help you? Because when I read this book, I could hear you talking.
Yeah.
So how did you get to that point? Was that challenging?
Some of it was challenging. When I finally got to the chance to do the audiobook.
That was another question. There is an audiobook?
Yes, on Audible.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if it's on iTunes. I guess that is Audible.
Oh, I got to grab that, yeah.
And that was one of the hardest things I've ever done, to try to read most of my own words.
Yeah.
But to get to that point, there would be so much information that I would output, and then she would digest, and then she would re-output it to me, and then I would correct everything. And
Can you give me one little example of something you tried to write and maybe it didn't work right away?
I mean, something as simple as the bass player section.
Yeah.
There's a lot more bass players that aren't on there. But the original list had not that many. And all of a sudden this is not actual definition of phrases and words.
Yeah.
So I would have to look a little deeper for that answer. But I would continually correct script that would come in either wrong or misdated or two stories were combined.
Right. So she's helping you simplify very complex.
They could have been combined from her.
Right.
Because there was so much outputted information.
Yeah.
That's why it took 2 years almost to do this book.
Well, if you weren't careful, back to the Bible, it could be like this bass player begat that bass player. Just keep going and going. Because you played with so many people, you needed to get to the essence of the message, right?
Yes, but the bass player thing was just it's just black and white.
Right.
It's not really giving us information. But for some sort of story that maybe had to do with Rufus or Patti LaBelle or Michael, there could have been dates and information that could have been swapped. So I had to go in, and once you start proofreading, there's probably 10, and I would go to Kinko's and have the spiral ones made in 11 by 8s.
Right.
And we originally had pictures in here.
Oh.
And little did I know that if you don't know who shot the picture, you can't use the picture.
Of course.
Jerry Hayes going through that right now. And I go, oh, God. And he's trying to ask me, do you know who shot that? I go, oh, try that. But, we can put it on the website.
Probably owned by Getty, but go on.
There we go. And then that didn't burn down.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's a whole nother story. But to get to that thought process, you need a team around you. And we had this guy, Ralph, who first started that I hired. And what he did was I had a list of certain people for him to interview.
Yeah.
And is very interesting perspective of him coming from the full left, interviewing all these kinds of different people that I had on his list. Some clashed with him. Some didn't. But all we wanted was information.
Right.
And so, he was very good at that. He runs a jazz show up in Toronto.
Right. Not necessarily opinions, but information.
Correct. But and when he started getting into that, that would be then goodbye time.
Right.
So that wasn't that. But so, it was important to have a team. And for Dony.
Yeah.
Who was it? Dr. John?
He started out playing with Dr. John when he was 18, yeah.
I've been in must have been in the wrong place, but at the right time.
Yeah.
There's your perfect example of taking a lyric and making it so everybody in the world understands it, even though he's speaking in his Creole.
Right.
So maybe that's a little...
That's it, and I think for many artists that comes with wisdom. I brought this up in another interview, but I used to go see Steve Gadd play at Catalina's with his band.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, the best part of the show is when he played simple and got everybody clapping. I don't know what is going on. It's so simple, but why did that go? When all the other crazy fills he did, they were like, oh, that's pretty cool. But there's that where every single person that worked at the place that was there You must have
because that's
experienced-
his true being.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's truth. You're right. That's a great point.
That is his true. That's who he is. He's a tap dancer.
Yeah, for
You know?
real.
And when you tap dance on the drums, that's what it sounds. It's kind of like, I love playing weird out stuff.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it, and I have to be creative, but eventually it comes back to groove of some sort of a weird thing, and I'm not playing that stupid TikTok thing that's an 11.
You said this on another podcast where you're with Quincy, and he said, "See those people way up there?
Yeah, they don't give a
They
shit.
don't care."
We're at the Superdome, New Orleans, 82, headlining with the A Band with me and Greg and Louis Johnson and Patty and James and Toots Thielman and Rod Temperton and Jerry Hay and just Larry Williams and
Killer band.
Kim Hutchcroft and God, can I go on? We had Ollie Brown and oh my God, it was insane. Oh, and Carlos Rios. And it was about 20 minutes till showtime, and he walks me out. And I'd played there before, with Rufus. And he walks me out, and it's almost sold out. And he points up to somebody way up in the upper balcony, and I thought he was going to say that this person wanted to say hi to me and wave at them. How egotistical of me. And I walk out, and he goes, "JR, you see those people up there?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "They don't give a goddamn what you're playing on your hi-hat." And turned around and walked away. And I'm just standing there dumbfounded in front of these people, and I'm going,
Yeah.
I walk back, and he didn't want any of that. No offense to church drummers, but any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And he just wants, aggressive Charlie Watts.
Yeah. You want to bring everybody together.
And he was right.
Yeah.
And in the studios, he verbalized it differently. He would say, he would stop the session. He goes, "JR, you're dancing too much."
I love that. I'm going to use that.
Okay, you're dancing too much. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. Have you had the chance to do any lectures? Not really like a book tour, but has anybody invited you to come share about your book?
Not yet, because we're still in our freshness stage,
Yeah.
and because of the Audible or because of the ebook, it
Right.
became bestseller. There is something that still is not signed yet, but I may announce it anyway, which will lead to that. Is CBS Mornings on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
With Jane Pauley have asked me to be a guest star.
Oh, wow.
So that would lead into this. I've spoken to guys like Rob Shanahan, who is on the lecture circuit.
Great photographer.
And he's done me 20 times.
I have his book. Beautiful book.
And does he have a second book?
I have the one that has being turned up to 11 on the cover.
I think I'm in that book. And then he's got another one because there's so many people. But I would love to do that. I mean, I'm on the board of South Plains College, Texas now, which is a small school with a lot of endowment and a lot of great recording stuff down there.
I can see you going, though, to Eastman School of Music in Berkeley, and I think the younger students would really benefit.
Every time I go back to Berkeley as my alma mater, they just want me to play. And so I'll put a band together and play, which will be, now there's a new president, we do that. I would love to go up to Eastman. And I think the plan would be, sometimes that's why I admire Steve so much, is that he's still remained the king of the monkey in the box. And God bless him in his tragedy, but he still has the drive at age 80 is to go out and play live.
Yeah.
And he doesn't kill himself. And I remember, I still on occasion will play like I'm 20 years old.
Okay.
Like big.
Yeah.
And like powerful, like
right.
I could have been in Led Zeppelin.
Right.
And that kind of thing. So there are these signs where, Peter Erskine was a good example of a drummer who adjusted his output, not his professionalism or his note contribution or his musical contribution, but he doesn't play hard anymore.
Right.
And I would never, ever turn into that guy because my style is pulling the sound out of the drums,
right? Whether
it's pianissimo or fortissimo.
Right.
So
they're resonating.
But drummers, people expect them to output forever.
right,
at this velocity and
right,
this exuberance.
right.
And it's hard to do. So thank God I'm still there. But to do lectures, in addition to some demonstrations, which
Right.
we've discussed, even though I've got the new J.R. Robinson band, but I'm very much into that. I think that I could help relay this. And this book could be broken down in 100 different ways.
Oh, yeah.
You know, with just
You
one.
could show up at a school and just talk about only one chapter.
One chapter, exactly. Or make it
Or
a
you could
3-day
talk.
thing.
I love, there's two things I really like in here. When you show up for your first gig and every gig, it's a list.
Oh,
Like
that could have gone longer.
oh my God, like the always be punctual, drummers arrive early, ensure your gear is tuned and working condition. These sound simple, but I work with young drummers and
They don't.
you go with them to their first gig and they're like, my bass drum head broke. Why didn't you bring another one?
There's one I named twice, and then I thought about the correction. There's the
Are you talking about the 70 things?
yeah, the 70 things.
That
there's
that one is hilarious.
Because
when I first read it, I go 70, and then I read.
I could have had 100, and that's just literally what.
And do you really do that?
Yeah, what goes through my well, if the roadie has not effed up, then like wing nuts.
Yeah.
Like if I'm playing, because I learned this with Barbra. I've got different kind of cymbal mallets, and if I'm playing some beautiful roll that it's just a cello, then I'm using a little bit of a darker cymbal, but the wing nut has come loose, like
making sure the
quarter
cymbals
of
are
an inch.
floating. Yeah.
And floating, in which these rock drummers tighten them down like morons. You want to crack your cymbal in it plus the cymbal. But if the wing nut is loose, it's going to rattle, and it's going to rattle at pianissimo.
Yeah.
And then they'll turn around and look at you.
I mean, that's as important as turning your snares off during a quiet part.
It can, or you're leaning on it because that's that sort of thing. But yes.
Yeah, but I love that list of 70 things.
Oh.
And first I thought 70, then I'm like, no, these are all right. And then I was like, aren't these things you already know? And when you're getting ready to play your show, the adrenaline, it's good to have that list.
It is. And you know what a lot of people don't know, but I always say a prayer to my mother every time.
Oh, that's cool.
Right before the first downbeat of what I'm going to play.
Yeah.
Come and please, man, I love you. Let's have a great show, Mom.
Let me ask you a question that's way off from what we're talking about. I lost both my parents, my dad a couple of years ago, my mom 15 years ago. Do you ever talk to them? Do you ever say like, hey, I wish you could have seen this? Or I do that sometimes. Sometimes I just say thank you. And
well, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And nothing negatory, because it is and was what it was.
Yeah.
But generally, it's almost like Carol Burnett pulling her earlobe. I'll say good graces to my mom, and then I'll go, well, shit, don't I have to say it to my dad, and then my sister, then my grandfather on the Robinson side, then my grandfather on the Haney side, and no. It's just the mom, I think, will work.
Yeah. It's good to just know that they're with us somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. You know.
When I get to the end, I always ask people to respond to quotes. So I have a couple for you.
Okay.
First one by Lionel Richie, a guy you did quite a lot of work with.
A lot of work.
He once said, exactly when people are in turmoil is the time that entertainment business has always been at its best, because people don't want to be reminded every day that they are under siege or that they are not having a great time in life.
Well, and he is a perfect example of being under siege. I mean, I can speak about Lionel quite candidly. I think I hung with him in many different facets. I mean, I had him and his first wife, Brenda. My first wife, Yvonne, and I had him out to our house, and we wrote a couple of tunes, which never ever really finished.
Really?
And this is in 80, maybe 89, and we had there were cats running around and two fucking Cocker Spaniels and jumping on them, and they didn't have any kids.
Yeah.
And I always, felt like, well, maybe as I lived way out in Old Agora, I was like on 2 acres, very country. And
right.
I always felt like, well, maybe we just overdid it a little bit with the family vibe. And, Yvonne said, no. And they just were greatly appreciative. But then the next day is when Brenda let's just say, I think she hit him.
Right.
And that was when the divorce started. It was the next day that they were at our house.
Right. Oh, wow.
So something must have triggered.
Yeah.
And, there was other things with Lionel. We would be recording at Ocean Way, and it would be like a lunch, and we'd go across the street to a little cafe, and he'd say, John, because I knew him in the old days, and with Rufus days, and we'd be crossing Sunset Boulevard, and he goes, you see this? See, everybody's like waving at me. Yeah. I cannot get away from these people. Yeah. I mean, you have a silence of your being, but nobody really knows you. You're not a public figure. Right. But I can't even go into 7-Eleven. Yeah. And I'm thinking that could be haunting. Yeah. I can't imagine of all the things that he's done, and being somebody that big. I saw something the other day on Instagram or something, and it was McCartney, and he was not in the front row at some event. He was back in the second section. I think I know what you're talking about. And then all of a sudden they had him, and he had a hat on or something, and his gray hair, and they finally go, well, I think that's Paul McCartney. And then he gets up and waves and then sits back down. I certainly wouldn't do well if people were watching me every day, everything I did. I can't imagine. It would be bad. It would be bad. I also see something in this quote, though, when he says, exactly when people are in turmoil is the time that entertainment business has always been at its best. So right now, arguably, the world is not in the best shape it always has been. And it makes me think of the Great Depression when we started to see Flapper Girls and swing and stuff. Right. So what's your take on when things aren't going well in the world? Do you notice a resurgence of entertainment and people needing it more? It's the cream. I mean, you and I are not cream guys in our coffee. Straight black. It's straight black. And, that was kind of the story of, never mind. But, cream rises to the top. Yeah. So generally the good things, and let's talk about, me in the entertainment industry, good things come out of that. It's not like, I'm Robert De Niro and I can go, well, man, my last film I got 22 million for, and plus, 3 points, and I got the front and the back end. And, this film, it's like an automatic paycheck for these guys. Yeah. Well, us artists, everything is about creativity, and you need to help yourself first with creativity, and then somebody else will like it. Right. So I think in the way the world is, you cannot let social media get you down, because it is now replaced news. Yeah. And news is over, except for potentially 1 or 2 channels. Right. And that's not the way you should judge your being. Or live your day. Or depend on your live your day. Right. My mother used to be As the World Turns. Dad went to work and Channel 2 went on. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't preach enough about, maybe get a life. Is perspective. Is applicable. Get a life. I like that. Your late friend, good friend, Quincy Jones once said, greatness occurs when your children love you, when your critics respect you, and when you have peace of mind. Wow. Yeah. And he, of anyone on this great earth of humanity, was probably the best global ambassador, and learned everything, and had such a warm, open feeling about people all over the world in all regions, and would just not. He wouldn't let the Israeli and the Palestinian situation get to the crux of how these people are, or I don't care which side of the coin, they're the same people. People are people. Yeah. People are people. And he would that's why he would tour weird places in Africa and Finland and all sorts of things. And I mean, he looked at my first wife and I, who was Lebanese, and me, I'm, kind of Northern English. Right. And he'd just look at us and goes, you guys are going to have some really beautiful babies. There you go. There you go. Okay. And he was just so, he was my ultimate mentor.
Yeah, and still, I bet.
And I still push his narrative, but it's not his narrative. It was like why I was brought into his circle. We all kind of conveyed at the same time in this circle in 1970, late 9.
Yeah.
After he produced Rufus, and then that was when Off the Wall came. I mean, we all came from different avenues with Jerry Hay and Greg Fillinganes and Hawk Walensky and Rod Temperton and Patty Austin and we were all just in this room together, and everybody was creating.
Yeah, and
he
saw potential in all of you guys, no matter where you were from.
And we were young.
Yeah,
God, I was 24. In those days, and I'm controlling the tempos on Off the Wall and using a Yuri 7-frame film click. and how's this? How does it, because he had to do everything with a click.
Wow.
Bruce insisted. So Quincy, he may be gone, on this earth, but spiritually he lives on.
His
forever.
Spirit's everywhere.
Yeah.
One more quick question before we end, and it relates to Quincy. So when I grew up, I loved Buddy Rich's drumming. Yes. I luckily got to meet him a few times and see him play. And of course, people were, back then, no internet, passing around the tapes of him yelling at the band.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got that, right? But when I met him, I think it was like 14, 15, the nicest guy ever. Didn't have an ego, at least with me. He was like, "What kind of music are you into?" And He's like, "That's great. That's awesome, man." And remembered me when I saw him the second time. I also read, I think a few years ago, an interview with Quincy where he was saying something about certain musicians that they weren't up to par with his beliefs.
Yes.
So what I want to ask you is this. Quincy, Buddy Rich, people from that era, they gave 1,000%, and back in the day, they had bands that were 1,000%.
Yes.
So when they get to the point where somebody is not giving 1,000%, they have some frustration. Would you agree with that? I can see where they would get frustrated and say these things. Maybe they could have chosen their words better, but still,
I think you're
there's excellence
alluding
involved.
to Buddy's outputs. Verbally.
Well, and I remember Quincy was saying that, Paul McCartney wasn't a good bass player. There was this article.
He did say that.
Yeah.
And,
you know what I mean, though?
Well, he's not up to Ray Brown standards.
Right.
But, there's another story, and I hope I don't get bad junk on this, but Quincy told us, one of these people are still living, by the way, that I'm about to bring up. But there was, when the Beatles were all hypey and somebody that he was producing wanted Ringo to play drums on this Quincy Jones track.
Okay.
And this is in New York in, 8? I don't know when it was. And, and Ringo is a friend of mine. And we shared one thing together, which was Curly Sue. I played on the end title written by Steve Dorff, and we're at Conway, and I'm leaving the session, and my drums are still in there, and I see Ringo on a break or something, and he comes out, and he goes, "Oh, JR, I really, really loved your part. However, I had to put on a hi-hat overdub it to put a little more of my swing into it." I go, whatever floats your boat, dude.
Yeah.
If that's really what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
In other words, he had to dig at me.
Yeah.
So I'm not digging at him, but as that jet lands at Camarillo Airport, Quincy shared with us, I don't think this is, I think I can share this, is they hired Ringo to play in this rhythm section in New York, and it went down, and apparently from the powers that be that were producing, a la Quincy, and I'm not sure who else was in that booth,
right,
didn't dig it.
Right.
So it was coming up on lunch hour, and he goes, "What, Ringo, why don't you go get some lunch, go take some of your peeps, go hang out, come back in about an hour and a half."
Right.
Quincy made a phone call, called one of his New York drummers.
Right.
He came in and put the part down, split before Ringo came back.
Yeah.
That was the part that was on the record.
Yeah. And did it say Ringo?
Probably.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of that.
There's a lot of those.
There's stories. A lot of, I've heard it says this person on the album, but they brought somebody in. We could probably leave it there. I know there's a lot of those stories.
There were the ZZ stories and Chicago stories.
Yeah.
Which I'm part of that one. But, it just happened to be when you're in a situation, and in my life, generally, when I've been in all these rhythm sections, I never got that bad vibe.
Yeah.
Where I was screwing up or
Right.
I didn't feel right. Or if it did,
Yeah.
I would take a break and kind of rechannel the inner energy and see what's going on here.
Well, you're good at reading the room. You know what a certain artist needs, what Barbra Streisand needs compared to Daft Punk is extremely different, right?
Totally different. And I mean, they're all different. Every one of them is different. I've got 4 tracks I got to cut right now here.
Yeah.
One for somebody in Indonesia. And the thing came in and said, we want it to sound exactly like our machine. I go, you guys, what decade are you living in?
Then why?
and then the others are with just a beautiful artist named Jude Cole.
Yeah.
And I've been cutting again for Jude because we did back to school.
Mm-hmm.
But
I know who that is.
We've just cut some new stuff. It's so good. But and he's the opposite. He gives me total creative freedom.
Yeah.
And if you're working for a producer who may not dig something, I mean, I've seen it go down with guitar players. That's why during Off the Wall we had 4 on deck guitar players. It was almost like football players. And Quincy didn't want wah wah in this one. Okay, so we went to Marlo Henderson.
Yeah.
If you didn't want Marlo, it was David Williams. And
Almost like a Steely Dan thing. Like, what's right for the song?
It was totally. And then we'd work with Richard Perry, and there'd be 4 guitar players all recording at the same time. And I'm going, this is a freaking nightmare for mixing for me, But
well, and I didn't want to be misconstrued. I think what I'm saying is a lot of these artists, like a Buddy Rich or a Quincy Jones or a George Benson, people that have been around a long time like you, come from an era where I think because they didn't have the help of machines to pull off their performance, they expected more. And that doesn't demean people that make music whatever, with
EDM.
computers or AI or any of that thing.
Yeah.
They come from an era where they demanded excellence in performance. So even though I may not agree with their statements, I can understand. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. And certain
like if you do a recording with someone and they go, oh, let's put on this this virtual reverb effect.
Right.
You know what the real one sounds like.
Right.
You can probably help them as a producer get the right sound because they're just grabbing a nap or some kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and all the records I've done, I don't look for the final sound to come out of that day.
Yeah.
Because I know that if you got a Mick Guzauski there, something is going to change. Or Chris Lord Algae.
Right.
Shit. I mean,
you just want
you want it clean to dig.
Something they can work with and take in any direction.
Right. And so for Buddy to respond like, no beards in this band. What is this?
That's just plain funny.
Mormon Tabernacle Choir. He's just venting.
Yeah.
And
it is comical too.
And he's venting because, he was probably indulging during those days and probably just came off an unbelievable performance. I mean, if you guys haven't seen it, go find the YouTube of him having a heart attack during the drum solo. It's overwhelmingly hip. And I'm thinking, the guy's going to freaking die.
Or there's when he had the broken arm and he played.
Yeah.
Or when he turned upside down before anyone else and it was all rickety.
Yeah, and I had somebody send me that, why aren't you doing this, John? I go, man, once you become a clown, you're always going to be a clown. And that goes with any aspect of the music business. Stay away from the circus.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I could see his output. Quincy's output would be a little more stern and not as attention-seeking.
Right.
And Buddy...
But look, if I've seen videos of him working with Frank Sinatra, so he knows the excellence that it takes to pull something off the right way.
And he learned that from the Harry James, or from the Dorsey days to the Harry James
Unbelievable.
days. I mean, Harry James must have been a total tyrant.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Because he forced Buddy to go solo and become the highest paid artist in Las Vegas before Frank.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, there's some serious shit going on here. He's a friggin' drummer.
Yeah.
And Harry James would walk away for 15 minutes every night.
Wow.
And then so when Buddy got into that Sinatra thing, how can you have nothing but respect for Frank because of, sure, he comes up underneath the note and hits the note, but that's his style.
Right.
And his phrasing sounds like Basie's horn section.
Yeah.
It's sick. It's so sick.
It's a different era, and it really needs to be paid respect.
And then one of your last points is that, okay, there were no drum machines. Everybody's position had a known role when they walked in.
Right.
Even though we hear stories about Miles coming in and winging some of these songs. I'm sure that was true.
Yeah.
But, there's form written out on the paper.
Yeah.
And he expected these guys.
Especially working with like a Gil Evans or someone.
That would have been insane to see that. I mean,
Sketches of Spain. I can play it 4 times in a row. Never get bored.
And if you notice here in my beautiful drum house, I have 2 analog situations here.
Yeah.
I've got the old one here, and then I've got one in here, which I haven't fired up in years.
Yeah.
Because I always go back over here to the old Pioneer days.
Yeah.
But once you hear that, it doesn't lie.
Yeah.
It's the real deal. And I used to be the youngest guy in Los Angeles in this scene. And now I'm getting up to, Dean Parks will always be the oldest guy, even though he's a year younger than Steve. But Steve's not in L.A. And
he's in Vegas.
He's in Vegas. Well, good. Maybe my older son will start playing with him. That'd be good. Except Jimmy's with him.
I love the David Lee Roth Crazy from the Heat album. Always loved it.
I helped break up Van Halen.
Listen.
Fuck yeah.
I knew that you were on it, but I was looking at the personnel yesterday and I was like, what the hell?
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Dean Parks, I mean, it's only 4 songs, but it's incredible release. It's almost like an EP, right? 4 songs.
It was the beginning of EPs, which Ted Templeman helped start.
So listen to who's playing on this. Dean Parks, Eddie Martinez, Sid McGuinness, who started out with Peter Gabriel and went to David Letterman's band.
And he passed, right?
No, I think he's still around.
Is he?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Sorry, Sid.
Willie Weeks.
Willie Weeks was in Rufus in 1970.
Yeah. Playing with David Lee Roth. What were you guys doing?
First of all, I was thinking about how I'm going to marry the guy because he lives on a farm in North Carolina.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Sammy Figueroa.
And Sammy's gotten active on Facebook recently, I've noticed. He's got something he released. God bless. I love Sammy.
James Newton Howard. Yep. I mean, when I hear these songs,
James Newton Howard. I worked so much with Rod Stewart with James. I did Dave, the motion picture. James Newton Howard was like a silent member of beginning of Toto.
Yeah.
In the old days.
Wow.
But he was, was co-writer and stuff.
How did Edgar Winter get on there?
Edgar Winter was a co-producer.
Really?
An arranger. And so Edgar, if you listen to those keyboard parts, it's partially Edgar and then his alto playing and all that stuff. So Just a Gigolo is kind of if you listen to it, it's Edgar Winter at his finest.
Yeah. Brian Mann.
Brian Mann's a guitar player, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a New York guy or is from up in your neck of the woods.
And then singing background, Carl Wilson and Christopher Cross.
Yeah. And
I mean, because when this came out, I remember everybody was into Van Halen.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, David Lee Roth, I remember reading you play drums. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I had no idea all these people were behind that.
Yeah, it was a complete new superstar band.
Yeah.
And I mean, I did have the opportunity to join Dave's band and chose not to do it because it would have taken me out of the career that I just had gotten to that level. So
yeah, you made a lot of smart decisions. I mean, you could have done Thriller, but you worked with Glenn Frey, and that led to like a whole other rock echelon that you got into that you never would have.
And I became Fogerty's MD out of that, and it got to be being signed to Warner Brothers, which is was the greatest rock label in my opinion of all time, and having the opportunity to go and play with with Winwood and Stevie Nicks and Fogerty and Bob Seeger. And if you listen to that Like a Rock record, I just recently I'm starting to reflect back, and I've started a new series and it's called On Track.
Okay.
And we're going to probably release it through my YouTube channel, which is official John J. Robinson. And
oh, good.
And and you helped start me with social,
yeah.
and we didn't know. I didn't know what the hell we were doing.
And it's still changing all the time.
And I'm still trying to now stay on top of it by even join the X. And I'm going, well, I don't know how many people I'm going to get on X, but
well, the thing is, everything's compartmentalized now.
Yeah.
Certain people, you could say in general, older people are Facebook, younger people are Instagram, but that's not really true.
No.
And then there's TikTok that took over, and then you've got Instagram and YouTube making shorts and reels,
Right. And that's the whole thing, is that if I do original content, then YouTube can't mess with me.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff is I'm talking about a song, let's say a Higher Love or something, which if I play that, it gets blocked.
Yeah, Rick Beato's had a lot of struggles with that.
Rick's had a lot of trouble, and my buddy Joe Vella, who runs my stuff, is really good friends with Rick. So you may know Joe.
I want to help you promote. So you've got your book.
Yes,
I have the
sir.
original version. There's a newer version now.
Yes, and it's basically the same content. There may be some alterations of corrections again, because I still found once this book came out, there were some corrections that needed to be made.
There's always stuff.
So the new version I gave you over here, we totally used a Rob Shanahan front shot.
That's a great shot.
Rob is, of course, he's okay. He's this new photographer that nobody really knows. I mean, the Stones, they felt sorry for him, and they hired him. And, Ringo hates him. So anyway, we do this Rob Shanahan front, and the back shot is not a Rob Shanahan shot.
How would you like people to buy this? I know how it goes with Amazon. They take huge cuts out of it. So for the artist, I always say, can they buy this directly from you?
Not really. Go to johnjrobinson.com or kingofthegroove.com. There's a link, and there's a link to buy an autographed version.
Oh, great.
Which is through me, but they are still taking a chunk.
Well, you know what I mean? I just interviewed a friend of mine who's an independent book publisher, and I know that a lot of creative people don't get their profits.
No, we don't.
So the best way to help you out is to get the autographed copy.
Yes, get an autographed analog copy. I mean, and we have this on Audible, of course, digital, and then there's a ebook is out. And
all of us in Los Angeles are stuck in traffic, so get the Audible.
Yeah, the Audible's fun, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, by reading my own words and realizing, God, I'm a smart guy. This is how smart I am. And then just don't hit the fucking Tesla in front of you. But the other thing is, if somebody wants to buy a lot of these, a lot.
Okay, so if they have a small bookstore or a school.
I will make a special deal and
that's great.
And get them, 30 or
that would be perfect
whatever
for a
they
music
do.
school, university.
I totally agree. I think we got this in my Creston, Iowa library, but to do that would help a lot. I mean, not a lot, but it's this one. When I made 2 solo CDs, and I used to call them calling cards. Yeah. This is a little bit more than a calling card, because since this new edition, I got my doctorate of music from Iowa State University.
Wow! Congratulations.
Which we really wanted to put it on the cover. Yeah. Because this book will be, unless Hitler comes back, this book will be here forever. So here we go.
Yeah. So the best way for people to reach out to you to see what you're up to is probably Instagram is the best. Is that where you're most active?
Joe monitors Instagram, and I am active on Instagram or Facebook, which is John Robinson or John J.R. Robinson. There's 2 accounts. Facebook's really strange with that.
And then YouTube, say it again. What's the?
YouTube is official johnjrrobinson.com. I believe it's on there. And I think it's in this book. You can also email me at, I believe if you go to my website.
Well, my next question was, if someone wants to hire you to produce, play drums, I mean, you do everything.
Yes, I think it's in the book. I think it's info@johnjrobinson.com.
Okay.
And that goes directly to
from
my
your website too, right?
Yeah, on the website is johnjrobinson.com. And we can make deals or do all that stuff. I'm selling swag, of course, and I'm selling my innovative drumsticks if people want those.
Well, there's normal stuff. You're selling your books, your albums, all real things.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If there's a young artist, let's say there's a singer out there that always loves your grooves, can they hire you to do everything?
Yeah,
can you
and
produce?
Be the producer.
Can you record?
Absolutely.
Can they come here to record? Can they do it from home?
They could come here and record. I'm set up for them to sing.
Pretty much everything.
I could bring in, if I need Dave DeLome to play keys or even David Foster, we could do that. It's always good to look and find new talent. I'm obviously attracted to more female singers because I've worked with the world's best. But I am working with certain male singers today, and I've had bands in here doing everything, but it gets a little clouded.
Yeah.
And
but I guess what I'm saying is you can handle any situation.
Anything.
If there's a young artist that wants to
get
their stamp out there in the world, you are the guy.
I could hire a group of bagpipe players playing through Marshall stacks.
Funny you say that.
and which I'm going to do, by the way. The whole world, I
kind of sound like a bagpipe.
Yeah. That's me or you. But I've always wanted to do that. I mean, Hans Zimmer did it with us, with all the Pert guys or all the steel guitar players, He's like a bevy of weird stuff.
I'm there. I'm half Scottish. I'm in.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm Northern English, so it's all good.
I did read that there's maybe going to be a Rufus docuseries. Is this true?
It's still on hold. I put this all together almost a year and a half ago, and it was going to be a docuseries of 5 episodes, the 5th one being a master concert with guest stars.
Wow.
And, Stevie and all sorts of people, and whoever wanted, would be talk about the original days of Rufus when Kevin Murphy founded it in 1970.
Yeah.
Which was called Smoke. And,
wow.
And it still is not a dead issue. Was waiting for Chaka to get through her stuff she's through, and now she's moved back to the Atlanta area. So
fingers crossed this will happen.
Fingers crossed. We're the only band that's really never reunited. We did in 2001 with Earth, Wind, and Fire, and then the planes hit. Yeah. And we had a new record deal on DreamWorks, and then the whole thing just hit the wall.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. I would love to see that.
That would be great, because the Stompin' at the Savoy, the video is still never surfaced. If it surfaces, I don't know where it is. And I found actually our records when I first joined the band in 1978 at Circle Star Theater in San Francisco of 3 nights of recording. That's when I first met a young Sheila E. and Sheila Escovedo and brought her on stage, and her and I did a drum solo together.
Oh, man.
That was in 1978.
I got to see that.
It's all about making a deal with Universal. So, we're sitting on some good stuff here. And
I hope
that's
happens.
one thing,
Last thing, tell me what is coming up next. Your band that used to be SRT is now called?
SRT has now morphed into the J.R. Robinson Band.
Okay, what's going on with you guys? What are you doing?
It's not a trio. However, the first gigs we're doing will be at NOMA, North Omaha Music and Arts, October 3rd and 4th. 3rd being a private rehearsal for paid audiences.
Okay.
That's where, we argue, and I go, man, you suck. I'm going to call Ringo. And then the other one would be on the 4th, we do a concert there. It's a beautiful place, run by a guy named Dana Murray, a drummer, who has this beautiful, it's like a mini Berkeley thing going on there.
Okay.
And then we go on David Foster's cruise.
That was my next question.
Which is in middle of January.
Okay.
And I'm not only playing with David, I'm playing with the All-Stars.
Double gig.
I'm triple gig. I'm doing Catherine's Jazz Night at midnight, and I'm doing 3 shows with the J.R. Robinson Band.
Wow.
On a 3-day cruise, 3-hour cruise. and so we'll get to play a whole bunch of stuff. I'll have Eric Marienthal sitting in with me and Nathan East and Keith Nelson and those kind of guys for a couple of tunes. The J.R. Robinson Band has morphed into SRT was all original.
Yeah.
J.R. Robertson Band I tried this before with a Rufus clone band,
right,
where it was basically a Rufus clone band with his front singer. It was 6 pieces. This has now been condensed. We're going to do a really good bevy of my hits, all reharmonized.
Man.
But a little more hipper.
Yeah.
But not smooth jazz.
Right.
I mean, you may have something that borders on that, but
well, you have played with Kenny G.
I did Kenny Gorlick's first record. and I did Dave Koz's first record.
Hey, there's something for everybody.
Oh, God. I mean, I kind of helped put that shit in a map. But so that's that.
So that's what's coming up with that.
We've got, the 2 films.
That was my next question. What's the latest film that you worked on?
Well, the film industry has, it's like you get to this point in your career, it's like, you're either going to do stuff. I mean, there was this thing I did a couple of years ago here called The Rumble or Rumble something. It was animated, but everybody phoned in their parts.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of sad. But I'm at this thing where I'm negotiating with 2 films. One's called The Survivor's Room.
Okay.
It's a high school football movie based in the mid-'70s.
Perfect for you.
Dealing with suicide.
Ooh.
So I've been working on that, even though that's not done. And the other one is Mario Lanza.
Oh, really?
Which is a complete different departure.
Wow.
So none of those linked. We've got the.
And you do film soundtracks, but do you also do TV soundtracks?
I've done tons of TV soundtracks. I think the last one I did was My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. But I still get paid though for all sorts of things that are hit songs I've played on have been in all these new series on Netflix and stuff. Of
course.
That's what they do is they'll buy it out and then I'll get a New Year's payment on that.
Yeah.
And then we're with the advent of Istanbul Mehmet with my new cymbal company.
Oh my God. I just have to tell the listeners, his new Istanbul cymbals are otherworldly.
They're unbelievable. And I took something that was made years ago and made up my own and changed it. And so we have, 15-inch hats, 20 and 18-inch crashes, beautiful crashes.
Yeah.
A JR21, a 22 ride that's just magnificent, and a 24 swish, which I was always into swishes. And so that's out there.
That includes swish knockers.
It's swish and knockers. and I know Quincy always, but Quincy would be, I go, Quincy, man, I need to put the swish on this. I know Karita. Oh, the swish, JR, yes. He'd just go, I go, no, not like that, dude.
What I love in your book is not only do you talk about companies you work with now, but you give thanks to everybody else that you worked with before, like
if I can remember them all.
No, yeah. I thought that was very kind and cool. But why don't you tell everybody what are the companies you're working with now? Let's see if we can remember them all.
The new companies?
No, all the ones that you're currently with DW.
My first mic company was Bayer.
Okay.
From Germany. I still have all the mics. We use some. That unfortunately went south. I went to Audio-Technica after that, and that unfortunately did not. I decided to go to Shure because of Peter Erskine, and then that left, and then I went to Blue, and then Blue got bought, and so now I'm kind of open between Austrian from Austria and Mojave. Mm-hmm. Mojave makes some of the just greatest instruments, but I have such an array of mics that it's not really. I'm not. It's like so. But
your drums mainly are DW, Slingerland, and Roland.
From the original. Yeah, today's day is Slingerland. I'm fully endorsed by New Slingerland.
Yeah,
I'm one of 7 drummers.
Wow.
I had to give up my DW endorsement. However, I endorse everything else that DW makes. So
Gotcha.
Metal, pedals, wing nuts. I'm endorsed by DWE. I'm endorsed by Latin Percussion now. I finally re-signed that deal.
What do you use for heads?
With REMO, of course. And I've been with REMO. They've been with me almost the longest, well, probably the longest, when I first moved to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. I was with Zildjian from a little boy all the way through the termination. I was one of their first 5 stick artists.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Until they had a massive stick ad and forgot my drumsticks.
Uh-oh.
And I got pissed. And Armin and I were really close. I used to go stay at his house.
Yeah.
And bring him Doma, and he'd eat it like candy. And so I left Zildjian and went to Paiste in 06. And then I left Paiste a year ago, and I had a good run, had some nice instruments, and decided that let's go with Istanbul with B20, and they make most of the molds anyway.
Yeah.
For all the companies.
Yeah.
So that worked out well. The Slingerland thing, and a lot of people were upset when I left Yamaha to go to DW, thanks to the product and my good friend John Good, who was my tech a couple of times when I was the Yamaha artist, and it was really weird. But I almost went to DW in 1997, and I chose not to because Hagi made some unbelievable great stuff for me and for the world. And then I could see the reason why I left Yamaha is because they got rid of their artist program and went to band and orchestral, and I found that offensive.
I remember.
And
a lot of people were hurt
and
by
Steve
that.
didn't leave, and David didn't leave, and both Davids and Billy left, and I left, and it was like, okay. So I went to DW and realized, wow, this is a whole other ballgame. The bass drums were totally different.
Right.
I had to learn to play differently.
Wow.
Because of the bass drums. So anyway, in my head, my first endorsement, thanks to Danny Serafin, was in 1978 with Slingerland, signed by Larry Lincoln and Phil Halsey. And those two gentlemen are not with us anymore. But the drums weren't great. They weren't like 1960 Slingerlands.
Right.
And it was my first endorsement, and I was very excited. Then went to Yamaha in 81 when I first went to Japan. So I had a 3 year.
I remember that ad with you with all the machines and the white drums, right?
Oh, that was later. That was another ad.
Okay.
But
that was great.
Yeah, I did a lot of work for Nippon Gaki, but when Chris Lombardi bought Slingerland, the rights from all those other people, from Gibson, and who just totally failed with the redesign of Slingerland.
Yeah.
And it made nobody really take him seriously. And I still see comments on Facebook saying, oh, they're going to be overpriced and they're going to be just like they were. And, people are just not clued in. And what John Good did was when Don Lombardi decided to release the drums a year ago.
Yeah.
So I pushed him more than anybody because I felt that inside there was a light bulb that was going to go off. And I go, maybe I can come full circle. We're still under the family umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
And I can go back to playing these 3-ply poplar mahogany drums.
Yeah.
And I pushed and I had him make a first set that I used at the Hollywood Bowl with David Foster's 75th birthday concert.
Wow.
Everybody was on this concert, 3-hour show. And I made it, and they got it, but there was no hardware. So now we cut to now.
Right.
A week ago, they just had Guitar Center DW Day, which then unveiled Slingerland. And I did a solo and did a little chant for Don and John. And John, of course, helped make Slingerland correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not effed up in any way or some bad shit.
Good drums, good hardware.
Yeah, and I'll show them when we sign off here. I'll show them to you. And they officially have released. All the dealers now are getting them or have them. There's an incredible, beautiful swag thing that's coming. That's kind of like vintage. They make another 5-ply set, which I didn't really get a chance to play because I was solely interested in the originals.
Right.
From the 40s to the 60s.
Yeah.
And one thing I did notice, and then going back and playing these bass drums, they're only 14 deep.
Okay.
It makes me respond differently.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I'm a right foot oriented kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so now what I have in this house is a 20 over here, and I've got it kind of beboppy, and then this is a 22, which is what we all started on. Down in Cartage is a 24.
Okay.
And all bass drums just respond unbelievably great. And because they're only 3 plies.
So there's a consistency that you like.
There's something about it. And I don't have to drive the car really hard like at 5,000 RPM like a Porsche. It comes back.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited about it. I'm very glad to be a brand rep, and I was very grateful to God to having this come full circle.
Yeah.
And it honors the great original Slingerland drummers, which I grew up listening to.
Yeah. Well, John, I would love to do this again sometime. I had a great time with you. I didn't even get through 2/3 of my questions, so
we can do updates.
As long as there's enough espresso, we can keep doing this.
I think my Nespresso delivery comes today. Unfortunately, you could come back tomorrow.
You hooked me up well. All right, I appreciate it, John. Good to talk to you.
Malcolm, it's great. Yeah. It's great revisiting, and I love all you guys, man. Check out Malcolm Moore, baby. Wait a minute. What do they do? There's actually human beings in a room, and they hit a record button, and it simultaneously grabs everybody's information together.
Yeah, there's this weird thing they do. They look at each other in the eye.
What?
Their phone is not in their hand.
Oh, my God. Well, you need to have something to fall back on. I don't even know what that was. Anyway.
Oh, somebody at the ring?
It's that new band I'm in, Spam Risk. I love my band, Spam Risk, man. You guys got to come to the Spud and hear us.